So finally, we come to delegating more and better. What is delegation? Okay, delegation is to assign tasks and responsibilities to others who could be good enough to do them rather than continuously taking on that work yourself. All right, that's like the technical definition. Everybody kind of knows what delegate means. You know, you've been hearing this probably since senior year in college or maybe even a little earlier. But this one also has two parts, more and better, because again, the further you get in your organization, the more you get the more promoted you get, or if you're a founder, the bigger the organization you founded gets, the more you have to delegate and the better you have to delegate it. You're no longer just delegating to that core team of 5 people that you came up with, or the 5 people that have been on your team for the last couple of years if you joined an organization as opposed to founding one. Now there's a bunch of different styles and types and cultural backgrounds. And so how is it that you delegate more and better when the shared understanding of what's inbounds and what's out of bounds is so very different? You know, this is, and in some ways I'm talking about, I guess, every leadership challenge when I use those terms about what's inbounds and what's out of bounds. It's like, this is not being taught in business school. You know, this idea of what's allowable and what is not, it's so very differentiated, and it needs to be. You know, there's different industries, there's different kinds of people, there's different cultures. There's a lot of difference when it comes to what is inbounds and what's out of bounds. And the way it shows up in delegation is, you know, we're kind of going back to square one. There's like a little tiny bit of imposter syndrome in delegating, where it's like, who am I to delegate? Oh, you're the boss. Yeah, but existentially, who am I to delegate? It's like, no, this is, you're the boss, and if you don't delegate, then you will be working later than the people that report to you. And by the way, I use that example on purpose because I've seen it many times. Mm-hmm. Many times, the boss staying very late, and then the boss's executive assistant, chief of staff, or, you know, their go-to person, they're leaving it at 6 o'clock. The boss is rescuing all of them, just rescuing them from his own delegation. So yeah, and also in that definition, I said good enough. Sometimes it's not just good enough. Sometimes it's painfully obvious who could do this, and still the delegation doesn't happen. So there are several reasons why, but I'll stop there. That's a good enough intro.
Yeah, this one's tricky because it does implicate some of the other leadership challenges. Are you not delegating because of conflict avoidance concerns? Are you not delegating because of imposter concerns of, you know, especially if you're new to a company or new to a role?
Yes.
And you want to, you know, build relationships in a certain style that, you know, delegating feels to be in the way. And
Yes.
there's also those internal standards of like, what is good enough that you mentioned? And what does it look like as a leader? You know, one of the hidden jobs of a leader is to develop the people under you. Mm-hmm. So it sometimes does require a more intentional engagement with those direct reports so that they are able to produce the work that's needed at a high enough standard to be given the response, not just the task, to your point, but the responsibility also. That's where I see so many people getting stuck in my work, because they're happy to delegate tasks, but they keep the responsibility to themselves, because that's where the real urgency or the import is. So if you're looking at this from, you know, our boss's perspective, when somebody is stuck on this core leadership challenge, what does that look like to the boss? What are they seeing behaviorally that just they don't need to diagnose this as a problem. They just see this person's not ready to be moved up. So what does that look like to them?
Most often the first thing they'll say, they'll think, because it's also the first thing they say to this person or to someone like me that they hire, or you that they hire, is, why are you micromanaging? it's odd, right? It's like, oh, why do you think I'm micromanaging? Because you're getting on everybody, you're doing it all yourself. Like, they don't really know. They just know they don't like something, right? And so micromanagement is also another one that they'll say is, how come you never send so-and-so to me to talk about this project? You're always there. In fact, you're always there. For all these projects, you're there. And then when you're not there, I still see you present the project. It's like, why aren't you developing your people? Like, how it's been a year that you've been working with so-and-so. How come they're not taking on more responsibilities? Now, so because their boss is thinking, oh, I would like to promote that person, but I can't promote them until everyone around them can do their job, or at least can do part of their job. So you really start limiting your own advancement, your own career advancement, because by not delegating to others, you are not ensuring that they can do the work that you're currently doing, and then you won't get the opportunity to get beyond the work you are currently doing because your boss doesn't want to take that risk, right? So those are some of the common ways that I think it's viewed.
Yeah, this is a great example there, Z, and this is something that is baked into all these leadership challenges, is that when you have one of these core leadership challenges activated in you, it's not just holding you back, it's actually holding your team back, it's holding your department back, it's holding your organization back.
Yes.
So overcoming this leadership challenge just isn't a good for you and your performance, but it's good for you and your leadership, which is going to be ultimately evaluated about how well does your team do. So this is a unlock for a systemic wide performance upgrade to take you and the relationships and the team around you all to a higher level, where you are the place that is where you're stuck is what's holding the team back.
Yep.